Right. So we'll begin with the session. This session is basically a discussion with startups with founders of emerging startups in India, AI-based startups in India, who are leveraging the power of AI across different sectors, from agriculture to healthcare to enabling livelihoods. So AI-based startups in India have been at the forefront of technological innovations and entrepreneurship. India, with its vast talent pool and dynamic business environment, has emerged as a fertile ground for startups leveraging AI, solving a wide range of problems from healthcare to education to environment sustainability and financial services. For context, AI is expected to add USD $967 billion to the Indian economy by 2035 and USD 500 billion to India's GDP by 2025, accounting for 10% of the country's USD 5 trillion GDP target. Central to this dialogue is the critical role of an enabling policy environment for startups. The Government of India is committing to fostering a supportive ecosystem for innovative ventures in AI. Concrete steps have been undertaken to encourage the adoption of AI in a responsible manner. However, it is also important to maintain the policy push for innovation with responsible development of artificial intelligence. Policies must keep pace with AI systems and applications developed by the startup ecosystem with a view to balance responsibility, innovation, accessibility, and affordability of products and services. This session is basically a conversation and will provide insights into how policy frameworks can be structured to nurture AI in India. Moderated by Shri Pankaj Doval, National Editor, Times of India. This panel will feature founders and co-founders of emerging AI-based startups in India. These include Mr. Manu Chopra, founder Karya, Mr. Srinivas Subramanian, founder and MD Ariti, Ankush Sabharwal, founder and CEO Kover, Mr. Jantrati, founder and MD Nayan Technologies, Mr. Ankit Modi, founding member and product lead Cure AI, Mr. Swapan Rajdev, co-founder and CTO Haptic AI, and Dr. Pratik Desai, founder Kisan AI. Before we start with the session, I'd like to briefly introduce all of these startups. Cure AI is a breakthrough artificial intelligence solution provider that leverages AI to enhance imaging accuracy and improving health outcomes with assistance of machine-supported tools. It taps deep learning technology to provide automated interpretation of radiology exams like X-rays, CTs, and ultrasound scans for time and resource-strapped medical imaging professionals. Cure AI is helping to make healthcare more accessible and affordable to patients worldwide. We are happy to have you here, Mr. Ankit. Next, we have Mr. Swapan Rajdev from Haptic. Haptic is an Indian enterprise conversational AI platform founded in August 2013. The company develops technology to enable enterprises to build conversational AI systems that allows users to converse with applications and electronic devices in a free format, natural language using speech or text. The company has been accorded numerous accolades, including the Frost & Sullivan Award, NASSCOM's AI Game Changer Award, and serves Fortune 500 brands globally in industries such as financial services, insurance, healthcare, technology, and communications. We're happy to have you here, sir. We also have in the panel Dr. Pratik Desai, who is the founder of Kisan AI. Kisan AI, formerly known as Kisan GPT, is an advanced multilingual AI chatbot engineered to provide farmers with personalized voice-based assistance for all their agricultural needs. Leveraging their expert and expanding knowledge base, and powered by OpenAI's latest language models, Kisan AI delivers seamless and efficient support in many languages. It is not just designed for farmers, but anyone with interest in agriculture, such as students, researchers, and even hobbyists. In addition to this, the Kisan AI API platform is designed for seamless integration for with their existing partners for developing agricultural platforms. We have Mr. Jantrati, founder and MD Nayan Technologies. Nayan Technologies was founded in 2021. Their AI-powered algorithms analyze video feeds to detect traffic violations, defects, or dangers on roads. Their products currently span B2B, B2G, and B2C domains. Nayan's products can be used for road safety, public space monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, smart cities, traffic violations, and quality assurance on fleet operations. We're happy to have you here, sir. Next, we have Mr. Srinivas Subramanian, who's the founder and MD of Ariti Business Solutions. Ariti works in providing simple, fast to implement, and affordable digital IoT solutions for SMEs and agriculture users. Specifically, they deliver state-of-the-art digital solutions for cattle health and activity management, GPS tracking for cold chain and fleet management. With these goals in mind, Ariti's products and services focus on improving profitability, yield, tracking, and performance. We're happy to have you here, sir. We also have Manu Chopra, who's the founder of Karya. Karya is the world's first ethical data company enabling economic opportunities for rural Indians. They capture, label, and annotate data for their clients with high accuracy, and in doing so, they provide critical supplementary income to people in rural communities. Karya connects digital workers to a variety of dataset demands across 4 areas: local language datasets, document digitization, building image corpuses, image and video annotation, and labeling. Karya prioritizes working with rural, below poverty line communities who are traditionally kept out of the digital work economy to create maximum impact. We're happy to have you here, sir. Lastly, we have Mr. Ankush Sabharwal, who is the founder and CEO of Kover. Kover is the world's first and the highest ROI delivering human-centric conversational and generative AI platform, which is secure, scalable, and reliable, equipped with patent tech, powers multi-format, multilingual, multi-channel AI virtual assistants. Kover has also launched its own indigenous large language model, Bharat GPT. Bharat GPT is available in more than 12 Indian languages in partnership with Bhashini, a national language translation mission under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Kover's AI virtual assistants, chatbots, voice bots, video bots, serve hundreds of organizations that include IRCTC, LIC, IGL, and so on. We're happy to have you here, sir. With this introduction, I would now like to hand over the floor to Shri Pankaj Doval for guiding the conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's working now. So thankfully didn't say it's a brief introduction, it's a long introduction because we've got a very big panel. We've got 7 people out here, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of information from these guys about how technology is changing our lives, not only on the enterprise side, but in our day-to-day activities as well. And I'm really sorry for starting late. We all say Indian economy is growing and we see so much of traffic and activity outside on the road. So I got stuck in traffic jam, and I really apologize for starting late. But AI is the buzzword in India and across the world. And with generative AI, we saw ChatGPT suddenly becoming popular across the world, and the kind of the solutions that it can give are unheard of. We never saw something like that. Now we've seen Google come with Gemini, and India has now gradually started to take early steps in this direction. And the good part was that a lot of activities, if you guys had any opportunity to look at the solutions that are being provided by the startups out here, they are fantastic. I roughly spent 4 hours yesterday just talking to various startup CEOs, and the kind of work that they're doing, it's completely amazing. If you've not seen that, please go and have a look. And if you've seen that, I'm sure you would have liked it a lot. The good part in all this is that the government is taking a very keen interest in supporting the startups, and that's the reason that we saw the Prime Minister come here day before yesterday. He inaugurated the conference. He spoke about the importance of AI, generative AI, and also spoke about the need for some kind of a guardrail or regulations around it. We need a regulatory environment as well. Again, another good part is that all this is happening at a time when 5G networks, very fast networks, minimum speeds could be 1 Gbps. Those kind of networks have also started to roll out across the country. We're getting 6G now. And broadly, there is a lot of activity. And the good part is there are a lot of use cases that have started to come up. So let me first of all start with opening comments. And I'll go by the order that was given to me by the ministry. So please, there's nothing coming last or first. I'll start with Manu. Manu runs this company called Karya. I was amazed at the kind of work that these guys were doing. I read a story some time back in Bloomberg. And so they are crowdsourcing for local languages, local accents, and local dialects. So if I'm not wrong, they go, for example, in a state like Bihar, and they'll ask people to speak about various things, And that is how they're collecting the dialects. That is how they're collecting the accents. And these could be perhaps used by companies like a Google or a Microsoft in training their own models, because tomorrow you may have a voice-based search. How do you get those accents? How do you catch those accents? Somebody has to give you those accents. So if I'm not wrong, Karya is doing that. So Manu, your opening comments and some brief introduction about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much. It feels very wrong to be on the stage when Vivek sir is right there, who is, I think, easily one of India's most important technologists. So I think really excited to be here. I think our work at Karya builds on an incredibly vibrant ecosystem, right? I think thanks to the incredible work that so many people here in the room and so many people outside the room have done, today millions of rural Indians have access to a smartphone, they have access to a bank account, they have access to internet connection, right? I can't think of any other country in the world where low-income communities are as connected and as accessible as we have in India, right? And I think that's a huge privilege, right? So I think just starting off with just a note of gratitude, because the work we do would not be possible 10, 15, 20 years ago,
But
right?
some brief intro about the kind of work that you're doing.
Absolutely. So basically every year, tech companies spend billions of dollars collecting training data for their AI and ML models. Karya brings that work to communities in rural India. We are able to employ rural communities to build these data sets, whether it is speech, image, video, text. And we do this for different projects like Government of India's Bhashani project, where we contribute actively, to say working with Microsoft or Google. Our workers own the data sets that they generate, right? So they share it on a non-exclusive license and they keep the ownership. And every single time the data is resold, they get paid royalties. And that keeps them on this pathway out of poverty.
Can you explain what the data is actually? What do you mean by data sets?
Sure. So I can always, I think the speech is always the easiest example to give. So let's say I want to teach the computer how to speak Marathi, right? So let's say, like I want to launch a computational language model in Marathi. I will need to collect hundreds of thousands of hours of speech data in Marathi. Karya takes that task, breaks it into micro tasks, into small tasks, and distributes it to workers in rural India who do this task on an Android app on their smartphones.
They're just recording.
They literally read out sentences in the simplest form. And of course, the tasks get more complicated. In the simplest form, they literally read out sentences in their mother tongue. They get paid 2 rupees per recording, or a minimum of 400 rupees an hour for recording that, which happens to be roughly 20 times the local minimum wage. And over a few months, over a period of few months, we're able to get them to 1.2 lakhs in savings, which is the benchmark that we use within the company. We do several other things. I don't want to take too much time, but the goal is, can we use the AI revolution to build new pathways out of poverty? And I think given the rising smartphone ownership and everything, it's a very exciting time to do this kind of work.
Fantastic. Kudos. Then next I have Mr. Srinivas Subramaniam, who's the founder of Ariti. And they are basically providing digital solution house for developing and delivering various digital solutions required by livestock and logistics. So I had gone to their website. So for example, collars for cows. They are smartly monitoring what is happening with cows, the health and other aspects. Or example, tracking and tracing trucks, logistics trucks and all. Again, that is something wherein you are involving technology in jobs where you would not have thought that it would be required. So if I can have some opening comments from you.
Yeah, thanks Pankaj. So yeah, I kind of, our stall also mentions it, and I mentioned it in the last event also where I was speaking, that we are fundamentally looking to transform rural India. And as part of that transformation, we chose that how can we impact the lives of dairy farmers, and that's where we have built our cattle health monitoring solution. The cattle health monitoring solution is actually very unique to India, because I don't know if you know that there are about 53 breeds of cattle in India, and there is no solution available today to track this. It's all being done with the tacit knowledge of the farmers, which is passed down generations. But even with that knowledge, there are misses, there are oversights, various challenges which the farmers face. So we believe that our technology can enable the next generation farmers, also the current generation farmers, to kind of be up to speed on what's the health. It's like giving voice to an animal which can't communicate for itself. So that's our purpose in doing this. Along with providing this, of course, the other thing which we have done is that we wanted to provide the entire ecosystem around dairy farmers. So not only do we provide the cattle health monitoring solution, but we also have a second vertical which provides all the dairy farm equipments and feeds and other supplements that the farmer needs. So that all his requirements to take care of cattle care and comfort are provided from one stop. And that's how we are progressing as an organization. We hope to build more solutions around this domain, thanks to some of our collaborations which are in the works.
So how many cows are wearing the collars?
So yeah,
people used to ask about who will bell the cat.
No, absolutely. I think we have just begun. So we have covered about 1,000 cattle today, there are 308 million cattle. So sometimes we don't realize in India, it's the second largest population after humans.
31 crore, is it right? 31 crore
300,
cows.
yeah.
Huh?
So 30.8 crores. So that's the population of cattle in India, out of which about 70% of them are productive cattle. Okay, so there is a huge opportunity, and the gap in demand and supply is significant. But as you know that milk is a primary diet component for each of us in India. Yeah, we start our day with milk in some form, end our day with milk in some form, and consume at least 5 to 6 times milk in different forms all through the day. We don't consume as much any other product.
So before I go to the next speaker, just wanted to know how open are the farmers towards all this? Do they want this kind of a thing, or do they say no, we don't want it?
No,
गाय बीमार पड़ जाएगी.
No. I think the acceptance for this technology is very good in India today. See, farmers want trust in the solution that they are. And second is, cow is while it's a social and economic vehicle for them, it's also an emotional bond for them.
Obvious, yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of emotional connect with the cow as a animal. So they don't want to kind of put something inside the cow. So they are very comfortable with this kind of solutions.
Right. Next, I go to Ankush Sabharwal. He's, as was explained, he's the founder of Kover, and they make enterprise-grade video bots to accelerate and grow businesses. And they are the world's first and highest ROI delivering human-centric conversational and generative AI platform. So, Ankush, how's it going? And are you the guy who like kind of troubles us with all those bots the moment we enter any website?
Yeah,
are you behind that?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, thank you so much, Pankaj. And so it's exciting times, and we started this journey around 7 years ago in AI.
Yeah.
And that was the time we were kind of trying to convince the enterprises, organizations, the call center can be automated with this AI virtual assistants. And it was very, very difficult, and it used to take even years to convince them. Yeah. And now, thanks to this revolution in AI, hundreds of leads every day, and now everyone is mature, organizations are mature to adopt these kind of solutions. Yeah. And now we are launching Bharat GPT. So we have seen that now it's possible how technology can be now leveraged by everyone, every citizen, irrespective what language they speak, they're educated or not. So currently, I think a little irony is most of the technologists, they focus on, I think, first 5-6 crore people in India when they, try to address the market, try to generate the revenue. But I think if when the technology reaches to the pan-India, the country will grow, and of course, the companies would also grow. And it's not possible for all the technologies to actually reach out to everyone. So we are coming as one layer so that everyone can access the existing technology using our conversational AI layer.
You keep the businesses open 24/7. Basically, anybody goes to the website, there is somebody to answer your queries and all.
Absolutely.
But what exactly is video bot like?
Absolutely. So before that, so not just answering queries now, I think we are one of the very few companies who provide end-to-end transactions. One of the examples I can give is IRCTC.
I'm talking like a layman.
Yeah. So people can actually buy stuff. They can say कि मुझे 5 kg आशीर्वाद आटा के 10 पैक दे दो. अच्छा कितना हुआ 1000 रुपया हुआ. अच्छा 2 निकाल दो कितना हुआ 800 रुपया हुआ. चलो ऑर्डर कर दो. And not only that, so in IRCTC you can actually buy tickets saying मुझे कल की बैंगलोर से दिल्ली की ट्रेन टिकट बुक करा दो. You can
voice kind of
with a voice
command also.
Absolutely. Okay. So you can actually speak in a natural way, and we have seen that elderly people are using this more often. And video bot is very interesting. See, we are human beings. We want to talk to real people. Though we are in the business of making robots, we don't want to talk to robots, right? So we are trying to make these robots as human as possible. Example, we can create your digital twin. We see a lot of negative news about deepfakes.
Yes.
But we do that with a consent, but we don't just make it one way, we make it interactive. You think about employees talking to their CEO virtually, and consumers talking to their brand ambassador virtually, the minister. So
the good part is it's learning on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Which is the best part. I go to the next speaker, Mr. Jantrati. He's the founder and MD of Nayan Technologies, and they build original and cutting edge, as they call it, AI technologies that allows companies to offer fast, scalable, economical, and AI-based solutions. And these can be customized per industry. So, Jayant, what are your opening comments? Could you explain, like?
I think this is the perfect conference for speaking AI. A lot of guys here, I think they all have my lot of respect. They were in the panel also competing right now. Very briefly about what Nayan does. Nayan, as the word stands, is vision, eyes. Even our logo is like a swiggly gol ghuma hua na ya na. So it looks like an eye, but it's actually Nayan in Hindi and Sanskrit. What we do is vision, so similar to what Karya Manu does for speech and so on. Our work started in 2016 when I became an Uber driver. So I was driving an Uber and I figured out that the data collection market, similar to the data refinement market, like he said, is also very premium. There's a lot of cars on the road. If you can collect so many data sets of so many things happening across a whole city, then if you can bring it to a common panel for people to access, then you don't need so much heavy capex into so many things that government is spending our tax money for. Cameras lagao, apne vahanon pe apne cameras lagao, thousands of CCTV cameras, so many security cameras, so many things, so many police, so many things. When you have so much roadways and every day Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, Blinkit wale घूमते रहते हैं, हर जगह घूमते रहते हैं. So why are we spending so much money in so many government ancillary services, businesses, mobility companies, looking for traffic data? कहाँ से आ रहा है? It's like there's no access. So if you can distribute a fleet or put a smartphone that everybody has, download an app, so no capital expenditure, आपका ही phone, आपका ही AI based data collect करे and distribute करे सारी demand based companies को or government organizations, then you have now squeezed water from a rock, basically. So you have now come up with a model which did not exist. So that's what Nayan does. It collects refined data from the market.
How do you do that? Like, for example, if I'm going in my car, would you make me one of your...
Yeah, so it's very simple. So you can do it now. It's an application called Nayan. You go on Play Store.
He's also a salesman.
So you go on Play Store, click and type in Nayan, download the app. And when you're standing on the road or moving on a bike या गाड़ी के अंदर अपने फ़ोन को डैशबोर्ड पे छोड़ दो. This will collect the data that we need based on the demand and supply which Microsoft's or Google's of the world have. And this data comes out refined from your phone because there are nearly 6 to 7 AI models running in parallel on your device. This tech remains on the background, so you're not interrupted. आप वीडियो देखो, गाने सुनो. And this data collects, refines, and then transfers only the data packets back to the source, which is us. And then we give it off to different organizations.
How much money do people get?
5 to 10% of their basic monthly salary is added on top. So Uber wala, let's say 18,000 kama raha hai, so he'll make 1,800 rupees more in a month. If he depends on how much he drives. So the more you drive in the locations you want, the more you...
Last question from you on this.
Right.
That aren't there issues about data privacy? Generally, not data, collecting so much of public data as well. So there could be issues about privacy or security.
So it's similar to collecting information, like you can send out 1,000 or 100,000 people on the roads और बोलो सारे जितने गटर खोले हुए हैं सबकी पिक्चर लेके भेजो. Up data privacy can be there if somebody is standing in the front of the picture while he's taking the picture of the gutter. Sure, that person's picture may come back, but AI is very refined. Like it's not taking a scene ki picture, it's looking at that image. वो रहा gutter open, वो रहा pothole, वो रहा illegal hoarding, वो रहा billboard expired. So very specific targeted data. AI is very good at this. So it's selecting data and micro collecting, not macro collecting everything and so on. So right.
Okay, now I'm coming to Mr. Ankit Modi, very heavy surname. Bhari welcome. Founding member and product lead of Cure AI. So you say that your mission is to provide AI to make healthcare more accessible and more affordable. Can you give more details on that? Kya kar?
Right. So we started with an aim to solve radiology shortage. So all of us, I mean, whenever we get ill, I mean, you might get a chest X-ray done or a head CT scan done and an MRI done. But what we realized was that there was not enough people or radiologists to read them. Right? I mean, if you get a chest X-ray done in probably a Mumbai or Delhi, you might get your report in 2 days. If you go to a tier 3 town, it might be a week. And in villages, although NGOs and governments have donated X-ray machines, there is nobody to read those chest X-rays and tell what is wrong with that person. And that's where we saw that there is an absolute need at that point of time. But what we also saw was that the medical imaging market was growing by 20% every year. So if there are 100 images being taken this year, next year it will be 120. But the number of seats in medical colleges are only increasing by 5%. So it's already a severe problem, and it's becoming more severe year by year, right? So we saw an opportunity there that AI can be a game changer over here, where it can read images, because when we started out, imaging AI was on the rise. You already had Facebook, Google, who could determine things from images, and we wanted to use the same technology to read medical images. So now we are at a point where, you can directly use our AI for TB screening, say for example, or even if a radiologist can read say 50 images in a day, but his work list has 200 images, we can actually tell him that, you know what, these 40 are completely normal, you don't need to look at this. These 50 are very critical, first look at this and then go to the other images. So that solves basically the person who needs radiology access more is getting access to it earlier, and the radiologists and doctors are able to spend more time with critical patients than normal scans.
Sure. Great. And the next one, I have Mr. Swapan Rajdev. He's the co-founder and CEO of Haptic. I think they were scooped up very early by Reliance.
Well,
is it true? You went in pretty early?
I wouldn't say pretty early, but yeah, fairly, 5 years into our journey. So we're now a 10-year-old company, and the first 5 years we went through regular rounds of startups, and then 4.5 years ago now, Reliance took majority stake in Haptic. So
do you regret that, or are you happy? I mean, say the real game is starting now.
Yeah, and I'm super. It's been great, and I actually think that was the idea. This game of AI is no small feat. It's not a 2-3 year game. So that was, I think, our idea as well, right? This is going to be a long journey. It's going to take a lot of muscle behind it to really make it big, and obviously, Reliance brings a lot of that, but I think the good thing is Reliance, along with it, obviously brought a very similar vision, right? And I think, we're talking about AI and obviously all generative AI today, but, even 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, thinking about it, putting a lot of money into this, it took a lot of foresight to do all this. So, Reliance has been great. We're thriving and not struggling to survive at this point.
Good to know that. And last but not least, I have Dr. Pratik Desai. He's the founder of Kisan AI. We all hear about ChatGPT for humans. We heard about Kisan GPT, which is pretty interesting thing. So can you explain, can you tell us what exactly are you doing right now?
So Kisan AI is a multilingual voice-based co-pilot for farmers. So what we have been doing, we have been curating the agriculture knowledge that has been produced by different agriculture institutes and different farmer extension workers, and then using the generative AI, we try to deliver farmer the knowledge in their own language, so they can literally have conversation with the AI without any human intervention. It's available 24/7, and they can get the advisory they're supposed to get from some extension worker. And what we found out, we started working in agri-tech 4 years back, and we try to develop AI models for land segmentations and price prediction and all. And every time we figured out that it was the farmer education was most difficult. They keep forgetting things, they keep forgetting how to use application. So we wanted to make sure that we build something so simple and then use that channel to deliver the models. So right now what we have done is we have figured out how to reach farmer, how we can actually deliver the knowledge. So now through this channel, we are now delivering advisories, and now the other models such as price predictions and market analysis, that is something now we're going to enable just like voice. So now they can also start asking what is the market price, what is going to be the average market price, which month I can sell most. So those kind of feature which we kind of developed earlier as part of our journey, now we'll be going through this channel as and we will become real co-pilot for farmers for their everyday.
So they can have voice-based queries as well.
That was the native thing. So we build in such a way that they can actually have end-to-end voice conversation with Gen AI.
And how many languages do you support?
So we are supporting 9 Indian languages, English and some foreign languages right now. But I think so. We were actually one of the first one. Like I actually hacked Basini when it was not open. Like the model weights were like available somewhere on GitHub, and I through XML I kind of run it on my GPUs. That was like early days. So we actually launched this end-to-end voice conversation thing in March, like when it was called Kisan GPT, where you did not even have that feature in OpenAI or Google Bard. And that's working out well because we saw from the farmers that it's solving the real problem. There are not literacy problem, language problem, things like that.
Fantastic. And what kind of traffic do you guys get on your platform? Like on a daily basis, how many queries are being asked?
So until now, we have 300 to 400K question, answer, voice and text has been asked in like 6 to 7 months. But we are not doing any marketing or anything. Like everything is just we are letting it organically grow because we also want to make sure that like our platform become more accurate in terms of the things we deliver. So then we are like growing slowly. But like we have more than 100,000 farmers actually using it on platform like a regular basis.
And the responses are generated like are these generated through the models, AI models,
Correct.
or is it like somebody sitting there and answering the queries?
So it's a generative AI basically. So we have our knowledge base, and then we've been supported by OpenAI and Microsoft since the beginning. So we use the OpenAI model right now, and we work with Sarvam, and we are just recently work on training our own model. So it's the first agriculture LLM that we trained and released. So our goal is to soon start using that instead of the OpenAI in future.
Great, thanks. And I would also like to welcome Mr. Vivek Raghavan. He's from Sarvam AI, and I guess you had showcased your product also today out here. Can you tell us more about that? If you can pass on the mic, please.
So we are just, we are a full stack Gen AI company, but we just started.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things that we are doing is we actually launched an open source Indic LLM. So therefore, and I think that we want to actually build this whole AI ecosystem in the country and support people by actually making all these technologies which today we kind of rely on the OpenAIs and the parts of the world, those kinds of things being available in India. That is our intent of doing it, and we want to do this in a collaborative way to make sure that the entire ecosystem benefits.
Fantastic. I think collaboration and aggregation is the way forward, and the good part is that we are talking about cutting edge technologies, but we only have Indian guys out here. All these solutions are being made in India by Indians while harnessing and kind of collaborating with each other. I wanted to understand, like, while you guys are hiring, for creating technology, the flip side is that many people say that, these technologies will also lead to a lot of job losses. Do you also think that this could be one of the, cons of the whole technological revolution, that while things become easy and more efficient, there would be a big impact on jobs in various sectors. What are your views? If we can start from the left and the right.
So I think we are all going to have opinions. I think we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But my opinion is we may have, but it will recover back. So it's always a transition happening in technology where the new thing comes out, the old people who are not ready to adapt or train lose the job, and some new generation start getting in. But it's not going to be like a net job loss probably, because if the software writing jobs, like software development job goes down because of ChatGPT, then the data annotations job will go up because we'll have more custom models.
We had Elon Musk recently say in an interview that practically there may be no jobs required. We will only have jobs because we want to give jobs. Our economy should work, otherwise, there is no need for any job once this kind of flourishes and becomes very big. Is that the thing that you also foresee, that jobs will be given just because they need to be given?
So I think Elon has so many opinions, and I think I'm not going to answer on any of his opinions. Like he changes every day.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my take on it is a little different.
Yeah.
I think we are into jobs because of necessity and a purpose that we are driving. Okay. And I think that is where the structure of the job is, like you go to work, you get salary, and all of that comes into picture. But as technology evolves, there is going to be significant shift in the way that each of us engage in our professions, and that could be either offline, it could be online, it could be hobby based, it could be activity based, culture based. So there are going to be many nuances of things coming in, and I don't believe it's about a typical 9 to 5 job. That might not exist, because I clearly see that. But the other thing is, technology is adding comfort to human beings. And
You said 9 to 5 may not exist, means what does
may
what do you
not.
mean by that?
Yeah, I'm just coming to answer that
Yeah.
point. Technology is adding comfort to human beings,
Yeah.
and people today, for example, can conduct entire set of their businesses on a smartphone. Yeah. So, and people are available 24/7 as per the necessity, right? So I think now it's many of the activities have shifted from being physically present at a workplace and logging in and logging out to being virtually available anytime, anywhere. And there are enough examples of that emerging. People going on Himalayan rallies but continuing to work and deliver on their commitments. So I see that as a major transition happening. People having a fantastic work-life balance.
Hopefully. Swapan.
Yeah. So, I obviously second a lot of the points here, but to me, I think history is our best educator for that matter. So if you go back, right, and I think these examples have been given, but during the time of industrial revolution, similar fears, right? Assembly lines have come and, workers building cars, what is going to happen now? But if you look at it, 50 years hence, we're, I think, in a much better world. Yes, we have our own challenges. There were challenges back then, but, there's enough jobs still. There's people who have upskilled their new types of jobs. So I think all of that is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
One of the things which I do think about a lot through this transition is, I think the poverty divide or the divide in income has significantly changed from a long time ago till now, right? And I think what's going to happen 50 years hence, I think that is something we should think about. So while jobs will exist, will the money exist only a few hands? What can the government do to a lot of this? And what does it mean, right? And there's obviously proposals of, UBIs and all of this, but I'm not worried as much as jobs won't exist. I think jobs will be there. The question is going to be how much money do you make off of different jobs, who's using technology, and how does that work? So I think that's my thought on it.
Right. Ankush,
Yeah. So I agree to what Swapnil said. On top of it, see today, I think since morning I have not used AI much. See, I had to get up, take bath, had food, travel. Yeah. So I think whatever existing.
thankfully,
Yeah.
we have to do something ourselves also.
Today are not open in the social media. But of course AI is being used. I have 3 aspects, to consider, I think, for jobs. I think the one, of course, the jobs would be lost which are doing kind of knowledge workers, very entry level, data entry or monotonous redundant work. I think we have already started seeing those job losses. But the new jobs, right? So we keep hiring, a lot of AI companies hiring. I'm sure VXR will start hiring so many people. Now you see Nayan, right, making everyone, giving more jobs. New prompt engineering. Now I think to develop AI systems, we don't need AI experts. I mean, normal people, everyone can add to make AI systems. I think the third aspect, which is very, very important, the existing professions. How do we make efficient using AI? I think that would be the addition of every profession. If someone is a doctor, how he can be a better doctor, how he can do more surgeries with efficiency and can do more. I think this is an interesting subject, and I think we technologists have to see how existing jobs can be better. But net, I think it would be addition. I have no doubt about it.
Hopefully, net.
I'm sure
Growth.
We'll see that.
Ankit.
So I have 2 angles to look at it, but my basic premise is that the danger of joblessness is serious and should not be taken lightly with AI at the forefront, right? First point is if you go back and look at when computers were coming into the banks, there was fear about job losses inside the banks. But then at the same time, an entire different aviation industry was being launched, right? So you never know, AI might launch different avenues as well. The second thing is that it's not appropriate to look at it as AI will replace human beings. What might happen, and what we are seeing at least in our industry, is that humans who use AI are replacing humans who are not using AI. So for example, if a 10-member marketing team was able to write 10 articles in a day, with ChatGPT today, those 10 articles can be written by 2 people. What will the rest of the 8 folks do, right?
Are you threatening the moderator?
So good.
I can moderate at least, hopefully.
Yeah, but I mean, what would those 8 people do, right? Like, so AI might open new avenues for them, but they have to be AI educated. So we have to take the danger seriously and make sure that, I mean, our population is educated and at least know enough about AI to use it in their daily jobs. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's a danger that should be taken seriously.
Yes. Your comments.
I think I'll play the devil's advocate to the conversation. So the thing that I have seen, having a contrast, because I lived abroad 11 years, 8 years in Africa, 11 years in the US, then now 4 years in Dubai and then India, and I keep walking back and forth. I see a contrast अपना Indian society and बाहर की society. So यहाँ पे jobs एक जने की एक job पे 2 जने लगे होते हैं. Why? Because the guy is half-minded, absent, doing something else perhaps a lot of time. There's a lot of addition of labor that we have to do, and we've already observed this कि हमें एक ही काम के लिए कई जने चाहिए होते हैं. It is so I find it a little bit astray that हमारी problem है कि since we need so many people.
That's CSR that we do.
Yes.
In some
CSR,
sense.
In some sense. So we are aiding the job market to do the same job by 2 or 3 people, so it gets done. So it's I feel like the what we are doing by creating jobs like this is just making the general intellect and the general potential lower, because the expectation is set that everyone needs to have 2-3 people to do this work. So general acumen of mind is generally getting reduced. So with the help of AI, those menial jobs which require 2-3 people doing it together can be reduced to just back one, who was originally required using the tools and the spanner. The AI is a tool. If you use a smarter tool, you get better things done. So just use that tool, and I elevate the general acumen mindset of people, so better jobs will come across. It's like we're just replacing the carts with the cars, you know.
Right. Vivek, what is your view on this?
I don't know, you're making me into a panelist here, but
Please.
no. Certainly, see, I think what is going to happen is the way people do their jobs is going to change, and I think that's what most of the panelists actually said, and I think it's correctly that if you think that nothing is going to change and जैसे मैं कर रहा था वैसे ही चलेगा, it is not going to happen like that. Things will change. But then if we are aware that change karna hai, and we are a young country actually, we are a young country, we have that capability of changing. So therefore we can use this, if you call it a threat, into an opportunity, right? And I think that, so therefore there will be better ways of doing things. So I think that's the optimistic way of thinking about it, but you have to understand that something big is going on. If you close your eyes to that, then it is, and you have to be open कि नई चीजें आएंगी, things will be done in a different way, and I think that change is happening, and we have to embrace it, and if we embrace it, we'll be successful.
Be open and pray to God every day. But how many of you are techies, and how many of you are doing this based on an idea and then getting techies around you? Are all of you techies? Everyone? So we need to know tech, otherwise things will be difficult.
I'll just add.
Yeah, please.
I think that the last big technological wave was the internet.
Yeah.
And 1999, Windsurf wrote this paper talking about the end of information asymmetry. How now that we have internet, there will be no information asymmetry. You will know what I will know, irrespective of the language you speak, irrespective of where you're born. 30 years later, that hasn't happened yet, right? And most importantly, 30 years later, we still have 3 billion people in the world today that have no access to the internet, like zero, right? And the vast majority of the world has intermittent access to the internet, right? So I think the thing that worries me is we cannot afford to repeat those mistakes with AI,
Absolutely.
right? We simply have to be a lot more equitable, which means more open sourcing, which means more local startups, which is what the government is sponsoring and supporting in such an incredible manner, right? And I think, we are in the business of giving people money. So at Karya, people often in a week or in 2 weeks make what they would typically make in a year. And we notice how their lives change with that. The biggest thing that we notice is when people get to that critical savings threshold where they feel they've entered middle class, they spend on education, they send their daughters to school, they change the way they live their lives. They become creative, they create art. We have noticed communities going back to their traditional art forms that they had to leave because they had to make money, right? We see people going back to their villages from cities and going back to their old ways of being, and that's beautiful too, right? So I think the most optimistic version of AI-led prosperous growth in this renaissance that we hope to create is that people will have more time to just be themselves, go from that 5-day week to a 3-day work week, and use that time to just be more human. Right?
Makes a lot of sense, and this is democratization of information, as we would call it, and especially when you have vernacular, voice-based search and everything. So everybody can join this tech party and kind of benefit from it as well. How, like, all the guys sitting here, as I said, are having Indian companies, but what is the role of the bigger giants, the Googles and the Microsoft and Meta? They'll not sit there and just watch companies get bigger and bigger. I'm sure they're playing a big role, or is there a threat from them? Do you think that we need to be careful and we need to watch them very clearly, that while we are trying to do something new, they may just come and disrupt the whole thing? We start from this side now.
At this point, they're all Indian companies. They're all led by Indians.
Okay.
So
it's a good thing to say.
I think ghar ki baat hai. But no, I think they're partners, right? And I think the whole, it's a multiple stakeholder conversation. We need the startups. I think they need the startups, right? We need the government. We need open source. We need all of it, right?
Yeah.
And I think what you're seeing today is I had the honor of visiting Senegal this year. And we visited some non-profits in Senegal who are using AI for good. And I was blown away. They were all built on Llama, which is, like open source. And they were building LLM technologies for better healthcare outcomes and better education outcomes. And I think you are seeing a lot of collaboration across governments, private sector, public sector, and non-profits and all over the thing. So I think you need everyone, academics, like you need the whole thing. Yeah.
Jen?
So I guess it's sort of a confusing matter. Like how
enemies.
Yeah.
Friend and enemy both.
Friend and enemies both. Overall, I think just generally bigger companies, like छोटी नदी बड़ी में मिलके ही समुद्र पहुंचेगी, वो तो normal कहावत है. It has to happen. You have a bigger organization that has operational efficiency more than our startups can achieve right now. We are chasing money and survivability. It's a different problem we are solving. We are solving our existence. They are solving something else. So for them to enhance, they need to consume. They need to get bigger. They need to have better offerings. Google didn't just form Google Maps and Android and YouTube and all of them through pure innovation. They had to consume the companies and the startups who were making them. So eventually, it seems like the general evolution seems, if you're lucky enough in a 1 in a billion maybe, you get to become a Microsoft. But at this stage, at day and age, overall mindset for us generally as human beings is to enhance the human potential. So if छोटी नदी बड़ी नदी फिर समुद्र तो वो it's
बड़ी नदी यहाँ से भी शुरू होगी. Hopefully, we'll have bigger rivers out here as well. Ankit, and let's be a little brief because I think we may be reaching the end of the.
Like what Google is to us, Yahoo was to Google 25 years ago, right? And Google ने बनाई अपनी बड़ी नदी, so there is no reason why we cannot do it. Secondly, I mean about these big corporations, right? For example, Google is trying to get into medical imaging AI, but it's one of the 1,000 things that they are doing. For us, it's life and death. And that's how an OpenAI can challenge Google, Google can challenge Yahoo, and newer companies can challenge. It's always David versus Goliath, and anybody can win, but you have to give it your all. And I'm quite hopeful Indian companies will form their bigger nadis. Yeah.
Yeah, so of course, so very helpful these bigger companies now. Yeah, they are partners like we, Bharat GPT, Kover partner with Bhashni for the languages and Google for infra. We get GPUs readily available with them in India. So yeah, I don't see threat, and I think even Google does not just partner with the startups. Google partners with big companies as well.
They need us. They need us to a large extent.
Yeah, it's kind of both
They
ways.
need local partners as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, similar thoughts. So I think, big companies, small companies have existed for a very long time. But the good thing is, I'm seeing the big companies partner a lot, as Ankush was also saying, all the big guys are now partnering with smaller guys, but also obviously, in the end acquiring them, which makes sense after a certain point. I think the one thing we should all think about is the data divide. At the end of the day, the data is all going to them. So, how do we build some moats as smaller companies for the longer term? It's something we should not forget about, but doesn't mean we should slow ourselves down. So, I think that's my take on big companies versus small companies, especially in the AI domain.
You are part of India's biggest company. You don't need to worry.
I know, I'm not worried now, but I was worried a little while ago, which is where, my thought from there.
Srinivas.
Yeah, very quickly. I think the question is actually, what are the skill sets that each of these organizations possess? I think quite often we fail to recognize that there are only 3 telecom players active in the country. Yeah, every data flows through that funnel. That's after that only Google's and everybody else in the world, it reaches to them. Yeah, so before that is the government which leases out the bandwidth. So every in the organization has a space and a play in that, and they are building that play better and better. So whether it's a telecom player, they are building the 5G, 6G networks.
They're not very happy. They are the dumb pipe. They're saying I'm saying they're not very happy. They are seen as a dumb pipe. Everybody else in the system makes money.
I agree.
They just provide the infrastructure.
They just provide the pipe.
They want their share.
Correct.
But
I agree. So I think there is a journey for each of the organizations.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I tell you, there are 100 million problems to solve. No Google, no Facebook can ever solve the 100 million problems. Absolutely. It would be fundamentally wrong for them to focus on it. It's better that they focus on what their skills are, which is aggregating data and providing larger insights or big data insights, and allow the organizations which are the startups and other organizations to flourish and solve the 100 million problems which are needed by the country and the world.
Yeah, Pratik.
I think for me the problem is not the big company, it's a big company's AI, because like OpenAI releasing new features actually killing many startups, things like that, right? So which actually AI company can deliver or build something which actually kind of hurt us in terms of AI startup, that's like most important thing, and I think that's where the proprietary versus open source comes out, come into play. So
right.
It's almost like bigger AI killing smaller AI jobs,
True, actually, yeah, that is true, right?
It's very true. Yeah.
Lastly, I would like to understand the role of the government. In fact, the MOS Rajiv Chandrasekhar was supposed to be here, but because of some urgent meeting, he's not here. That is the kind of seriousness they have on these issues, and he wanted to be specifically here because he wanted to understand what startups, their journey of startups and what they feel. So I just wanted to know about the role of the government in all this. The government is talking about guardrails, the regulatory framework. They are talking in a very positive way, as they say. But sometimes there's also this kind of a view that regulations can stifle innovation. So what kind of a role do you think the government needs to play in this? And are there any specific areas where you think that the intervention of the government is required on these matters? Again, start from you.
I believe quite strongly that the government has done and is doing everything right here. I almost feel like the ball is in our court. You know what I mean? If I look at something like Bhashini, I feel like a government's role is to build the basic building blocks, and then the private sector should add on top of that. And I think, especially, in my field with UPI and Aadhaar and the last 10 years of public excellence we have seen in this country, I think the job is now for the private sector to be excellent. And we have seen some examples of that. I would like to see more. But on the government thing, I think I genuinely I do see the need for regulation. I think whatever they decide to do would be the need of the hour.
Okay.
And I think so far it's just been an incredible it's an incredible honor to see how excellent the policy
government is very involved in this,
especially with the original Niti Aayog AI policy, which I thought was a phenomenal document. and the new ones that are coming up. I think it's just very exciting to see how state of the art.
No,
all policy is.
absolutely. And I think the whole DPI stack that we have in itself is very surprising and very credible job done by the government. Jen, do you also feel that regulations are required, or do you think that,
See,
it can be?
I feel on the other side. Less than 0.1% of Indian AI companies have an IP. This is a fact, an IP India. Less than 0.1%. Israeli companies, 67% Israeli companies have an IP on artificial intelligence. They are the masters of innovation. They have innovated, we have copied. We are not making in India, we're copying in India. That's the general philosophy behind Indian companies like us. It took blood, sweat of years to put in millions of dollars of my own personal money and investors' money. And God's grace, we got the right investors to help fuel the IP innovation. Yeah. Then the market got flooded with everybody copying what Nayan does, 20 national awards. So let's do what they do because it's the best, whatever. Now the problem is, why do we innovate in a country if the judicial system and the legislative system and the government system does not incubate innovation? Ground research into AI and artificial intelligence and core robotics and all these streams, which are the only future that we are counting on. Why is there no IP generation in any of these domains? So little. More about implementation, execution, then Microsofts and Googles are the best because they are the ones innovating, they are the ones IP generating. We are using and deploying, and we are now threatened by their expansion. We should be, because we have nothing unique that they are not generating already. So I feel the government has a larger responsibility than all of us. They are the ones who are the watchdogs of how we innovate, how to inculcate innovation, creativity, intellectual property generation, creation of intellectual property rather than creating jobs. I think it needs a small paradigm shift.
Obviously,
yes.
Makes a lot of sense in what you're saying. Ankit, what is your view?
I'm quite optimistic about India's role in AI. What I absolutely love about our country is that we have a tendency to leapfrog innovations. Before we got landline to every village, mobiles have reached everywhere. Before we got CT machines into hospitals, we have got MRIs directly after X-rays. And I think AI is going to be similar. We provided the best software services 20 years ago. But with AI, the best products will come out of India, not just services. We have the largest data, we produce the largest amount of data sets. We have the youngest population. But coming to your point about regulatory, right? I think I see it very similar as, it's a very tight rope to walk in, balancing innovation with regulatory framework. And it would be naive to assume that anybody can get it right at the first time. So the governments should treat AI regulation like we treat our AI models. Build something, deploy, see whether it is stifling innovation or it is not being safe enough. So the tendency to iterate fast on shaping these policies will be vital. So we should not assume that we'll create a framework of policy and then deploy it for the next 10 years. We'll have to be fast enough to iterate on it. So that's, I think, very important.
Right. Ankush?
Yeah, so I think if you have to come up with a company or a startup innovation, we need, I think, 4 things. One is funds. We need base technology to build application on. Say, traditional days, you need Java to build applications. So you need team and you need opportunities, customers. I think all of these 4 have been now provided by the government. If I start with funding, there are incubation centers, they are funding AI companies. One I know is iHub Anubhuti IIITD Foundation. They are invested in us. And they are mandated to invest only in AI cognitive companies. Second, technology, Pashni, as Manu said. I've not seen any government creating it, right? So if you have to use third party from big companies, say it will be, say, 6 rupees per minute, say if it is speech to text. Bashti is giving it free, not just the model.
Yeah.
They have deployed it.
I've seen their platform.
Yeah, they are spending for GPUs and all that. Third is team. Yes, we have the access of professors and scientists of IIITD Foundation, so we are getting team as well.
Yeah.
opportunities for startup, there are many clauses which are exempted, like prior turnover clause. You don't, so no no turnover clause. So whenever RFP comes, they ask for, you should have this much turnover. For startups which are DIPP approved startups, that turnover clause is not there.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, prior experience clause is exempted, EMD exempted. What else? We can compete with any big company.
No income tax.
Income tax, yes, for 3 years, which again not for all DIPP approved startups. I think there is again subset of those companies. We are one of them, ATIAC. We got that exemption as well. I think it's a whole ecosystem. Now you see a lot of AI. I think you keep searching for AI tenders, artificial intelligence, virtual assistant. A lot of work coming from the government. You're getting everything. I have no ask currently from government. I think one thing which they are anyway working on is giving us more data, anonymized data. India has a lot of data. I think there are talks. I hope we'll get India data so that we can build
one,
better.
But yeah, they're trying.
Yes.
Swapan, what is your...
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things. For India, I think number one, we're actually at the very early stages of the innovation, right? I think there are countries like the US and, as you were saying, Israel, which are way far ahead. Obviously, they're thinking about a lot more different kind of problems on regulations. I think for us, one thing we need to do is, as we said, there's so many problems to solve. I meet entrepreneurs or people really wanting to solve problems, but how do they find the right problem to solve is a very big problem, right? So I think the government can really foster idea creation, getting ideas. Let's say, it's very hard for me to know what a farmer in another state would be feeling, because I just don't have that access, right? Healthcare. I think getting people, budding entrepreneurs, closer to the actual problems and feeling that problem so that they can solve it. I think government is very well placed to do it.
No, but government depends a lot on private sector to create use cases. I think that's where I think the private sector can help the government.
So I think there's a very big collaboration there. So I was talking to Mr. Abhishek Singh also, and that's kind of what it was, right? That how do we first find all the use cases, private government together, right? I think that's number one. The number two, I think, I was part of a room yesterday where it was a very interesting debate where regulation does not only have to always stifle innovation. There are examples of regulations really helping innovations, and the right set of regulations can really help that. Yeah. And the important part of that, which I think the government's doing a great job in, is giving startups and industry a seat on the table, right? And I think every conversation happening, startups, industry are being given equal importance. So it's not people outside this industry doing it. So I think that's a great thing by the government, and I hope these things lead to very good outcomes. But that's my take on the role of the government and what we can see in the future.
Fantastic. Srinivas?
I think Swapan brought out a brilliant point actually. So startups getting the kind of focus that we are seeing now is a very encouraging sign. I think there is a lot more that government can do. Yes, participation in government bids, participation in business opportunities. That's a lot of opportunity where government is investing significant amount of money into development of the nation, and startups have a big role. I think that opportunity can be enabled better for startups. That's number one. Second thing, I believe that regulations can actually protect startups and encourage growth of startups. So what we see is that the kind of governance which is needed by a large corporate and a startup are almost similar. And that's pushing, because startups are very tech oriented people. They understand technology, they know how to solve a business problem. But they are not enabled to read company law, have the audits and taxations and so many other formalities which are needed for big companies and where they have resources. So I think one of the things that government can do is simplify the process for startups to engage and generate business and wealth for the nation. And the simpler it is, the better it is. Maybe there are avenues by which the startup can focus on tech side, and something else, somebody can be created as a pool to take care of the other aspects of the business. So I believe that government has a huge role to play in that.
I think they're doing their bit. Pratik?
So I think I have a little bit unfiltered opinion. I think I want no regulation. Like beggar cannot be chooser. There is a newer IPS conference going on, world's biggest AI conference, and India has a zero entry in that research, like the conference, right? So we know we do not have AI talent. We do not have GPUs. And if we're gonna stop a small time hacker or a student or small startup to worry about regulation before they're working on some voice cloning startup or lip sync startup and other thing, then we're gonna just restrict this ecosystem. Like I've been living in Silicon Valley for 12 years, and there is a reason they are there, because there is like a unrestricted innovation. You just let them filter. Our consumers are smart, like Indian consumer, the smartest people. They will figure out what is good and what is wrong. Capture the people who are actually misusing it, but do not let startup and everyone to like, hey, read this 20 thing, otherwise you cannot have a startup or something.
No, but I think consumers are smart and generative AI is smarter. We have issues of deep fakes and so many other issues, IP violations, and also some bit of regulation. Personally I feel, I don't know, we can't be living in a regulatory vacuum as well.
You can regulate when it become part of like someone using it commercially or something like that. Then you can do IP. But like if I'm trying hacking things, like I'm having a garage running on one GPU and trying out voice clone and somebody get the file, I don't want that guy to be in trouble, because you are hindering the innovation. You are hindering someone to try and hack things around, learn new script and everything, because he's always worried about someone gonna knock my door because I'm working on some new script, something trying out. Because that's why we do not innovate. We say India is service companies or software as a service company. We are always into service. Why we are not having innovation? Why not have a generational company coming out? Because this is all, I personally feel that the regulations sometimes can actually hinder the innovation. People are afraid of okay, this is going to happen. Even before we have a deepfake company, we are already worried about deepfake. We do not have any company in India coming out who is working on voice cloning models right now, but then we are still worrying about voice cloning model do not do this thing.
But in a country where there are public lynches just because of Facebook, WhatsApp forwards,
but that can happen anyway.
Kind of checks and balances.
But I think you cannot stop them anyway. They will download another one from US, right? They can find a model from torrent, and they can do that. If someone has the intention to do that, they will find model from anywhere and do it. But by doing that thing, who has a good intention to create a startup, then they will be those good people will always worry. The bad people will find out anyway. So we don't want to have stop them and let them do experiment with a good intention. If our security and cops, they are very thorough in terms of finding all the culprit, our IPs and everything get tracked. So if someone does that, we'll find out. There will be someone knocking at the door if they're misusing the deepfakes.
Right. No, but broadly, I think there are little divergent views on this, but broadly, I think everybody agrees that this is an era of collaboration. This is an era of aggregation, and also this is the era of India. With our large footprint, almost we are reaching 1 billion users, maybe in the next 1 year or so, I don't know. This is the market that everybody wants to come in, and it's not that Google and Microsoft or any big company is doing any kind of a favor to anyone. When they work with Indian companies, they require this ecosystem as partners to become more effective and to become more efficient. And Indian companies are, second to none. I think they're doing a great job, and especially the kind of energy that you see in this small room. I think most of them are ready to become the big Nadi, as you were saying. All the best to you guys, and thank you very much. I would have loved to take some questions. We can take 2 questions, okay. But no comments, just questions, and please identify who you are and to whom you are asking. So first I'll start with that.
Hello to all the panelists, and my name is Karthik. So my question is for Jayant sir. Sir, back in the expo, Google's main center of attraction was AI for traffic and roads. So do you feel that they are trying to mix your river into their ocean?
So, like I said, at the end of the day, all our goals should be aligned. So we are trying to get the country better. If Google does a better job than I do, they are sure as well they should do it instead of I am. Why am I doing something that Google does 10 times better? Is my question, right? Why should I not pivot immediately?
The best guy has to win.
Right.
Or they collaborate.
Since you've told me that they're doing something, I'll take a look at that.
Definitely.
Yes, sir. You had a question. Mike, pass.
I'm okay with it. I'm so shocked. And the question is to soften. I want to pick it up from where, see, all you guys are tech fellows, and of course, you're solving problems. But where the problem is in a particular industry is the people who are in the industry. So, see, I have an idea, and there's a problem in my industry. How is that we come in touch with you people? So it's very difficult for us to connect as in a person who sees a problem in the industry with their AI into tech and with the startups. This is what I want to know.
What do you do, sir?
Well, I'm a lawyer. I'm a solicitor in the UK, and this is where the problem is that I see a problem in an industry there, and it's very difficult for us to put it through the tech, and the second, being scared of the idea that it will just go away from us. So that's one of the reasons I thought I'll ask Swapna.
You've got the right set of people in front of you.
Yeah.
Please, sir.
Because what he said, so I thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think I'll address your second question / fear first. I think, see, we're all, at least I fairly certain can speak for everyone, we're all very open to criticism, right? Because I think this is new, and I think we're all okay with someone pointing out flaws in the system, because I can tell you there are enough of them, right? There's no fear of that. So I don't think, there's a fear that we should not bring it up. The question of how can you reach us, I would like to think, at least in today's day and age, I know Twitter and LinkedIn are the two most popular things. I'm very active on them, even though I don't post, I reply to a lot of them. But I think to me, the idea of all of this is how can we collaborate more, right? And I think exactly the one thing is, if you're a lawyer, how can law or legal firms and companies or startups like us work more together? So I think collaboration could be one of them. But I think the long story short is I'm more than open to hear criticism, and I would love to connect after this. And, Twitter and LinkedIn to me are the best sources. You just send a tweet or you DM, and it's kind of, most of the times we get replies, because we're all very active on social media for that matter.
Just one last request from my side. Is there any lady who wants to say anything? We just have guys speaking. Why aren't the ladies asking anything? I would have loved if there were a few ladies on the dais as well. Please ask. Ask the most toughest question. Any girl? Anyone? Yeah, she'll ask. Please pass on the mic. Need to see more women as well.
My question's for Jayant. What you said about very little IP coming from India kind of struck a chord with me, because I was also in the US for a long time, and I have definitely seen this divide. So I'm curious to hear kind of your thoughts on what it is about the Indian ecosystem that results in that, right? Like, if you have a point of view, and maybe we can fix that. Because
please identify yourself as well.
I'm Pooja, and I actually work at Haptic as a VP of Geobusiness. All the work that we do across the Reliance ecosystem, I oversee that.
Okay, thanks.
So it's an excellent question. It's a question that I'm still getting my head around. What are the differences between them and us? Why is there so much more open-mindedness in the innovation circle? There is open-mindedness in our circle as well. ISRO, a lot of big organizations are doing a fabulous job. They're inculcating and protecting the cream of the crop through a very strong mechanism. The basic difference, at least in my opinion, again, a lot of opinions here. So in my opinion, there is a very rooted survival instinct in India. We are surviving on the day-to-day basis. Startups are looking for investors, money, grants, whatever, customers to make them survive. It's less about survival back in the US. It's like, for sure, worst case worst, you have social security, you won't die. You will get medical attention. The basic survival of a human being is not in question in a lot of the Western worlds. Here, there is no insurance who will make you survive. If you're not admitted, insurance doesn't cover your cost, period. If you don't have any social security if you run out of job, money and such, and you have a house to maintain, I feel the basic survival instincts are very, very strong, rooted deep into our country, and we are aiming to survive. Happy to take.
Sorry, please use the mic. What did you say?
Over there we have social security. Over here we have social shame. Like, if a startup fail, then it's like a bad batch, and that's why people are like afraid of it. That's like the hindrance I see, like the problem, right?
Just to push back here, sorry. There is a ridiculous amount of good work happening in the country. I could speak for the next 4 hours about startups in this country that are truly world class. When I say world class, better. And that doesn't mean good work is not happening outside India. I'm not trying to say only, you know what I mean? Like, I think we have to be nuanced here, and there are historic challenges of being a developing country or being in the global south that are being tackled by a lot of excellence that is in the room, that is outside the room. So, I mean, the amount of good work that's happening is beyond phenomenal and beyond exciting. And I think I really don't want the young people in the room to leave with like the US is light years ahead. I won't even say they're ahead.
They've
right?
raised millions of dollars. They're very rich now.
No.
So,
So it's
no, generally feel encouraged. I mean to say, do good work,
Please,
make good
like-
money.
I just want to add to Manu's point that the difference between US and India is pretty simple. Like the starting line is not the same. We are a 75-year-old company comparing ourselves to a 250-year-old company. Forget India and US. Take within India, right? Punjab was under British rule for 90 odd years. Something like UP or Bihar were under British rule for 250 years. 3x. And that reflects in the per capita income of those states. So, I mean, it's not that the gap cannot be bridged, but you and I have to do that, right? For the next generation to be at an even level platform. So, yeah, it's quite optimistic what we are seeing.
Thank you. On this optimistic note, thank you very much for joining us here. And we have a great set of individuals. So all thanks to you guys. Keep up the good work. And thank you so much.